and welcome to the review realm. It's Sienna, and today we are going to be discussing Netflix's newest film, The Electrical State, which stars Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt. Now, this is a review that will contain light spoilers, basically just a very basic plot overview, nothing really crazy that might ruin this film for you. So you have been warned, but before we get to it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So let's get to this review. The Electrical State starts off in 1990, and you meet Millie Bobby Brown, who has a brother who is a genius, basically the Albert Einstein of this generation, super smart, a young kid who might be able to go to college. He's taking a test, and there you learn that there is some hostility towards technology and robots and basically tech in general, and you don't know exactly why. And then they lean into this montage that shows that there is a war taking place against robots and technology. Robots have been doing jobs and they feel like they deserve time off and to be treated like humans, and they are trying to fight for basically human rights, these robots are, and this leads to a big war. And then there is a company that creates this technology that humans can then put on a mask and basically control a robot, and that is how the humans are able to defeat and win the war against robots. And the robots then go to this area where they are trapped and contained. Yes, they do have rights, but they can live their separate lives away from humans. And then this leads us to later in the 1990s, and you meet back up with Millie Bobby Brown, and you learn that her family died from a car accident. They hit a deer. Her brother is gone, and her mother and father are also dead, and she is a foster kid. And her foster parent is just this guy who is using her for the money that he's getting from the government. And in this time, humans can put on these masks and control a robot, but also have their mind in their paradise and their chosen reality. So they can basically do two things at once. One, control a robot that can do their daily actions, and this other of being on the beach in Jamaica and drinking margaritas and having a great time. So everyone's just living their lives, but humans are just sitting there doing nothing. Their actual body doesn't really do much, and humans are just living in this fake reality. And Millie Bobby Brown has been a rebel. She doesn't like putting on the mask. She doesn't do it. And then she comes in contact with this robot who looks like Cosmos, who is a cartoon character that her and her brother used to watch. And he somehow knows that her brother is still alive. So then she goes on a mission to try and find her brother. And she ends up meeting with Chris Pratt, who is a guy who sells basically old products and things from before the war. And he's an eBay seller, basically. But he also has a robot companion, which is illegal in this world. Now, since robots, humans are not allowed to have any contact with them. If you do have a robot, then you could be sent to jail. So while Millie Bobby Brown is trying to find her brother, there is this basically robot cop who is controlled by a human who is coming after him and trying to destroy all the robots. So that is a very brief and very basic plot overview of this film without getting into too much spoilers. Now, this film, honestly, it has political undertones throughout the whole film. Whatever side of the aisle you are on, it really doesn't matter, because those themes and some of the things and the different references you can pick up here and there, that is just throughout the film. It just is what it is at the end of the day. Like, they mentioned Kid Rock, so it is what it is. But one thing is, when films do bring up modern, I guess, politics or sides of the aisle, different ideologies, for me, it takes me out of the film. It's like, okay, I see what you're doing there. You're doing a reference. And when I watch a film, I want to be taken to a different world. And sure, you can learn lessons from every single film. You can learn something good. You can learn about something that maybe is bad. You can learn all these things. But when you mention modern things, one, it does put a little of a time limit on it, because in 20 years, who's gonna know about Kid Rock and what side of the aisle? Maybe I will, but my kids won't. Like, that won't be a thing then. So it does put this timeline on this film of some of the references. So there's that. And these political undertones just took me out of the film. I was like, oh, they mentioned that. Oh, that kind of relates to that. Oh, this. So it just took me out of the film. So whatever. It is what it is. Next with this film was some of the characters' motivation. I thought was a little weird and a little just basic, if that makes sense. So we have this cop, human cop, who is controlling a robot, and he is after Millie Bobby Brown and the robots, and he basically decides not to kill him because he's met a human that is not really human. His motivations are cruel and mean, and it's like, brother, we're human. We're all cruel and mean. Like, at some point, like, sure, what he did was, like, bad, but this is the first human that you've walked on and who you've met who's done something, like, bad. That's pretty crazy. And he's like, robots can experience, like, human emotion and do all these human things, and so I won't kill you, and I'll leave. And I was like, brother, and they just spell it out for you. Like, that is one thing. You don't think the audience is smart enough, so you spell it out for the audience, which can be, just bothers me. Like, you can leave little hints and we can pick up on, and they did that a little bit, but they just had to spell it all out for you, which got annoying. And this film was a little over 2 hours long, I believe, and oh my gosh, it felt like it. Dude, about 45 minutes in, I had to check what time I was at. I was like, we gotta be close to the end, right? I'm at least, like, over an hour in. No, I was at 45 minutes. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This film dragged on. It could have been way shorter. Honestly, you could have probably cut this up into an hour and 30 minutes easily, if not shorter. Definitely could have been way shorter than that. It just dragged on. And this is directed by the Russo brothers. They've done a lot of Marvel projects, and they're going to continue doing Marvel projects. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, this could be bad for the Marvel projects. I don't know if that honestly really matters. It's this film, honestly, I think most of the problems with the story and it being boring has a lot to do with the writing, the actual script. I wouldn't necessarily say it's all the directors, okay? There's a lot of playing parts. But this had a stacked cast, and then you see all these actors, and they've won awards, and they're great actors, and all these things, and then you get to this movie, and one, they assume the audience is dumb, and they put these political undertones throughout the whole film where it's like drags on, and then everything a character does, it drags on. Like, let's pick up the pace, let's get some things. Do I think this was a terrible film? No. Would I ever watch it again? Absolutely not. Okay, I was about to rip my hair out the last hour of this film, but I got through it, so don't worry. And I'm just about to stick with watching my Korean shows, because oh my gosh, I was just like, it's just boring, honestly. This film, if you took all of the political stuff out, it was just boring. It just dragged. And I've seen this plot before in 100 movies. Oh, a girl goes on a mission and to find her brother, and it leads into a rebellion, and robots deserve to be treated like humans. I've seen this film before in many other films, if that makes sense. This isn't a groundbreaking story. It's nothing revolutionary. It's not gonna blow your socks off. And honestly, I think that's what The Electrical State is. It's a movie that is way too long, a little too boring, and it's just okay. And it was released on Netflix, and that's probably a good thing. It should just stay on Netflix. But if you have seen The Electrical State, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Honestly, if I had to give this movie a rating, it would be a 6.3 probably. And that's probably, I'm pretty generous. With my ratings, I will say I'm a pretty generous person, but oh my gosh. It was a little too slow for me. But that's just my opinion. Let me know yours, and have a great day. Bye!